Money myths abound, and the damaging ones can dramatically impact your financial health and well being. Hello, 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 and welcome to More Than Money, a podcast where we have nuanced conversations about money, business, and life, where we take the time to explore the human side of money because success with money is never just about the numbers. I'm your host, Jacquette Timmons, and I am really glad that you are here with me today. So whether this is your very first episode, welcome back, or one of many, or I should say, whether this is your very first episode, welcome, or one of many, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. And before we get into today's episode, I want to invite you to explore how I can help you make this quarter one of your most successful, profitable, and not broke. And by not broke, I do mean not broke financially, but I also mean not broke creatively or energetically. Like, think about it for a second. What would it feel like to have a financial breakthrough, particularly one that you didn't even know that you needed? And maybe this breakthrough is what can lead to you having greater control over your finances. Or what might it feel like to identify your patterns of behavior so that you know that you are making the best possible choices given where you are, what you want, and your current set of circumstances? What would it feel like to, feel confident about how you are managing the thing that impacts almost every aspect of your life and business? And doing so in such a way so that you end up making smarter and much more strategic trade-offs that are designed to not only serve you today and the right immediate now, but also in the future. Look, I would love to help you create those feelings and to get those results. And again, I am here to invite you to work with me or to consider working with me. And I have 3 6-month coaching engagement spots available to start this month. And all you need to do is send me a DM on Instagram with the word coaching, and you will be sent a link to schedule a complimentary discovery call. So I look forward to hearing from you. In the meantime, let's get into today's show. As I am recording this episode, I am preparing to speak at a conference for those who work in a healing or helping profession. So think holistic doctors, nurses, therapists, wellness coaches and experts, spiritual teachers, etc. And this is an audience of people who are frequently the recipients of a very unfortunate message about money and money when it comes to their work. People who are far too often told that it is an act of service to accept a lower pay or to endure financial hardship as they do the work that they do. And it is as if serving others and financial success are mutually exclusive. From my perspective, this is such a damaging myth and one that is deeply ingrained in the psyche of many. Perhaps, or not perhaps, because there is a persistent belief that helping others requires sacrificing one's own financial well-being. And the cultural, societal, and historical context for this has some really deep roots. Historically, people, helping others has been associated with altruism and self-sacrifice, especially in religious and charitable contexts. And many religious traditions promote selflessness and service as virtues, often with the implication that financial reward or personal gain should not be a motivating factor. And in some cases, wealth is viewed as incompatible with spiritual or moral purity, leading to a belief that truly, quote unquote, good work must come at a personal cost. And if you need a non-religious example, then look no further than a number of nonprofit organizations. Many of these are really cash strapped. They operate on a very limited budget, and their employees are often expected to accept lower salaries because the organization's work is considered noble or socially important. And what this has done is it has created a culture in which financial success is seen as secondary to or even in conflict with the mission of serving others. Or think about teachers and educators who work in the public education system. They are often underpaid, work long hours, and are expected to use their own resources to support their classrooms. And according to the most recent stat that I was able to grab a hold of, 83.9% of all licensed social workers are women, while 16.1% are men. And we can likely attribute this disparity to the social expectations that are placed on women to be nurturers or caregivers. And what often comes with this belief is that A, women's work specifically, and B, social workers' work should be done out of love or duty, not for financial reward. And then there's this long-standing cultural notion that pursuing wealth is somehow at odds with being a good or moral person. The presumption is that people who prioritize helping others shouldn't also seek financial gain. Otherwise, it will be perceived as being greedy or self-serving. This type of moral framing often creates an internal conflict for those in the healing or helping professions who may end up feeling guilty about asking for more, about asking for fair compensation. And because they don't ask for more, because they don't get fairly compensated, it certainly has a negative effect on their financial well-being when you think of the compounding impact of that. But here's the thing. Those who work in the healing and helping profession, they are not the only ones dealing with this myth. You have likely heard of the starting artist trope, correct? They too are often told that they shouldn't expect to make a living from their art, as if their passion for their craft and their gift at their craft will just pay their bills and finance their future. Um, Or what about the entrepreneurs or founders of mission driven businesses? Some of them often struggle with the notion that purpose and profit can coexist. And sadly, what these examples reveal is how pervasive across a variety of professions and scenarios is the myth that says serving others or, doing what you love, as in perhaps being an artist or, being a social entrepreneur, as if having all of that or wanting to do that or being all of that and having financial success are mutually exclusive. If only that were the only myth that we had to contend with, because it isn't. In fact, there are several damaging myths about money that can negatively impact people's financial health and well being. And the reason I wanted to share this with you is because the truth of the matter is that it may be impacting yours too. So here are a few others to consider and to have top of mind. Number one, more money is all you'll need. Yes, having more money can absolutely alleviate cash flow challenges and reduce some of the financial stress that you might be experiencing. But often it does that only in the short term if you haven't also taken the time to address what is the underlying issue. If you don't address the underlying issue, the relief that you get from that more money coming in will only be temporary. So that's one. A second is the myth that all debt is bad. The blanket advice to avoid debt is common financial wisdom. You hear it all the time. Yet I am pretty vocal about the fact that I don't believe all debt is bad. especially when avoiding it can limit opportunities for growth. And yes, as I say that, I am thinking very specifically of entrepreneurs who often can only access debt financing more easily than they can equity options when it comes to launching or growing their business. And the way that I see it, when it comes to debt, the key is to know what makes a debt good or bad, and to also have a game plan for how are you going to get out of it. Here's the third myth, or a third myth. Work harder if you want to earn more. While hard work is important and sometimes necessary, especially when you are working on a deadline, the belief that working harder or working longer hours is the only way to earn money and create wealth is unhealthy. And if this is left unchecked, working harder can lead to burnout, frustration, and disillusionment. Here's another for you to think about. You shouldn't enjoy your money. This myth shows up a lot with people who have grown up financially insecure. It is a feeling that can lead to extreme frugality, causing people to feel guilty for spending money on anything that isn't related to saving or investing. And while saving and investing are necessary, they are really, really important. So too is spending your money on experiences and items that will bring you joy and fulfillment right now. Yes, it's important to, practice delayed gratification, but it shouldn't be at such an extreme that you don't enjoy anything right now. And then here's my fifth one for today. Again, there are more. That money is evil and capitalism is bad. Both of these promote the idea that the pursuit of financial success, whether through money itself or the capitalist systems that generates it, that it is inherently immoral or harmful, thus tying money to negative connotations, which can lead to people feeling guilty about wanting more money, about wanting financial security or more financial security, or even about wanting wealth or more wealth. And it can also lead to people having negative views about those who want those very same things. Sure, capitalism has its flaws, and it can be critiqued for its issues like inequality or injustice. But labeling money as evil or capitalism as bad also overlooks the good that money can do. Most important, at least in my opinion, is that holding on to this particular myth diminishes the agency and power each person has on how money can be used to create generational freedom, generational security, and positive change. Money isn't one dimensional. Capitalism isn't one dimensional either. So neither is good nor bad. Wanting it or wanting more of it doesn't make one evil or greedy. And the way you earn it and how you use it is what defines its impact overall. Like I said, these are just six of, what I consider to be damaging money myths, but there are more for sure. But of those that I've just shared with you, do any of them make you go, ooh, she's talking to me, that's me? And if so, what would be possible if you went through a process of releasing that myth, of noticing when it's bubbling up in the moment and then actively doing something to counter it? Or if you've realized that you once subscribed to one of these myths, but you don't any longer, I would love to know, how did you reframe this belief? The thing about subscribing to any negative money belief, whether you do so unwittingly or wittingly, is that we can't escape the fact that it shapes how you make choices regarding how money intersects with how you work, how it intersects with the key relationships in your life and in your business, how it intersects with your goals and how you go about achieving them. And it also happens to shape your relationship with money and cast a spotlight on what aspects of it need improvement. And that's why identifying what money myths you need to acknowledge and release is an important way of taking control of your money and how it impacts your financial health and well being. So I really do hope that you found today's episode extremely helpful. And on that note, it is a wrap for today, folks. As always, thank you for listening and listening all the way until the end, or maybe even watching if you are on YouTube. If you like what you heard and you would like to show appreciation for this podcast overall, or perhaps this particular episode, please do me a favor and share it so that we can reach more people. Because when you share it with those in your circle, it helps us, like I said, to reach more people than we ever could on our own. And if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, please take a really quick moment and hit those stars. And in fact, go on ahead and give us a 5-star rating. And if you haven't already, leave a review because yes, we do read them. But here's the deal. The combination of ratings and reviews really helps us with the algorithm so that we can be found by more people who are searching for podcasts that talk about money and more specifically, that have nuanced conversations about money. And of course, if you are on YouTube, please comment below. And lastly, if you'd like to buy me a coffee, here's how you can do that. buymeacoffee.com/Jaquette. buymeacoffee.com/Jaquette. Thanks again for listening or watching. I'll be back with another episode, and I hope that you will too. Until then, remember, it's about more than money.